Welcome into the Bogey Bro Banter. The Bogey Bros Banter, sorry. Apostrophe S.
That was a very calm entrance.
Well, Trevor's not here.
Yeah, true, and he is the chaos.
Trevor is... That's actually his middle name. Trevor Chaos Staub. You now conceal his identity. That's all you need to steal someone's identity.
I think his social is like... I'm just kidding.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not to dox him or
Is
anything.
there like a 10 in there?
No. Imagine if that was your actual social.
This is basically what's been happening here in the office is I haven't seen Hunter until like right now in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Has it been? It's been a week and a half.
It's been a week and a half.
Because he was out of town for a week, and then he came back, and my son has a cold. My wife had a stomach bug, and therefore I had to stay home.
What's your son's social security number?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, dang. So
6.
close to Trevor's.
Yeah, very similar. But then my son had a cold, and my wife had a stomach bug, so my wife didn't have the energy to take care of my son, so I had to stay home, take care of my son, and my wife, obviously.
Yeah. So
and
now
she's back. She's fine.
I just feel
He's
awkward
not.
now.
He's sick.
I just feel like I don't even know you.
I have a sick son. You want me to read you his sleep stats from last night?
Yeah,
He
go ahead.
put up an absolute stat line. Sorry, I was reading text from Braddy Daddy. So before, I'll show you the visual. I'll explain the visual to them.
Mm-hmm.
This was Monday, December 19th to Tuesday.
Okay.
So this is a few weeks ago. Put him in bed. Looks like about 9:30ish.
Okay.
Red means his thing had to like shake more to rock him back to sleep.
Okay.
So red means he was like a little fussy.
Mm-hmm.
But about 9:30 to 5:52 a.m., he was in bed the whole time, which means that Liz and I that night got 7.5 hours of sleep.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's great.
This was last night. So the white is that he's out of his bed.
Uh-huh.
The red is he's screaming, so it's rocking him. And the blue is he's actually asleep. So for the people at home, we put him in bed. It looks 7:50. At about 7:55, he got out of his bed. He was then out of his bed until 8:40. We put him in his bed. And he was in his bed but screaming on and off until 10:30. Then out of his bed, which means he was asleep in our bed. Which when he since he's sick, his sleeping in our bed means he's like under one of our arms and he's kicking you and going while he's asleep. So that was from 10:30 to 12:30. 12:30, we fed him, put him back in his bed. He stayed in his bed till 3 o'clock, which is great. That was a good little stretch there. Then from 3 to 4:45, he was in our bed. And then from 4:45 to 6:30, he was in his bed, but it looks like he was screaming more than he was asleep. So
basically a candy cane on your screen right now.
Total sleep was 4 hours and 13 minutes.
Hey, but he made it past the finish line.
He did. He made it. Total sleep was 4 hours and 13 minutes. And his longest straight sleep was 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Dang.
Which means that my total sleep was 4 hours and 13 minutes, and my longest straight sleep was probably about an hour and a half.
Wow.
So I'm feeling great.
I bet so.
This is about like when a newborn, that was a normal night. Maybe even good sleep.
I went to bed at 8:30 last night.
What time did you wake up?
6.
I hate you.
6:30. I didn't fall asleep until like 9:30, so like it's not that easy.
No, it's my sister-in-law, Lizzie's twin, is due. She's pregnant. She's due in a week and a half. And I was just thinking like, because that's been like our last 2 or 3 nights since he's been sick. He's stuffy, so he just can't really get comfortable and fall asleep. And we had to like get him up, suck his nose out, and we're running vaporizers and putting stuff on his chest and trying to get his nose to open up. And it does sometimes. During the day, he acts almost normal, but it's just when he's laying down, he gets so stuffy.
That's how I am too.
Yeah,
I feel like,
and it obviously like colds get worse at night.
Yeah,
so nights are just brutal. But I was like thinking through because I was like, this is exactly what sleep was like when Luca first got here. It just wasn't existent. You'd put him down, he would sleep for like 30, 40 minutes at a time. Maybe if you're lucky, you got an hour and a half out of him because he had to eat then at every 2 hours. And when you first bring him home, they tell you have to wake them up if they don't wake up on their own. Then once they hit, I think it was a month old, is when our doctor was like, now if he wants to sleep past the 2 hour mark, you can let him sleep. But for that first month, it's like you are up every 2 hours. And how Liz and I did it was I took the I might have talked about this when we had Luca, but I don't remember at this point. We would put him to bed because, again, every 2 hours he's up. But newborns basically sleep the entire 2 hours in between. So you're at least guaranteed throughout the day, like, he'll be up for like 40 minutes or so and then an hour and a half of sleep. That was basically what you were guaranteed. So what I would do is I took the like 8 p.m. till 2 a.m. shift, somewhere in there, or 1 a.m. And then Liz would take the 1 a.m. to like 6 a.m. shift because, or was it vice versa? No, it was vice versa. She took the first because I can't stay up late. I've always been an early sleeper. She has no problem staying up late, but she can't get up early. And I have no problem getting up early. So she would stay up late with him because essentially newborn Luca, he would sleep in your arms really well, but in his bassinet, he didn't like sleeping. So you would just rock him and sit in the rocking chair until he fell asleep. And a lot of times that was the sleep you got, was like you'd kind of doze off in the rocking chair and then wake up and be like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be asleep. So she would stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I would get up and have him from then on. And then during the day, once she got up at like 7, then we just tag teamed it throughout the day. But man, it's brutal.
See, right now I'm transitioning into being a morning person. Like just right now in my life, not like this week. I mean, like in my life, like over the past like year or 2 years. And because I've historically been a stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning and then sleep until 11 person. And so now obviously we get here at 7. So I get up at the latest 6:30. And what that means, transitioning to trying to be a morning person, just means you don't like staying up late and you don't like getting up early.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So I'm just in this weird spot where like last night I went to bed. I also had a really bad migraine yesterday. I left here with a really bad headache, probably because Silas and I inhaled like gallons of sawdust.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I came in here feeling pretty good. I already have a stuffy nose now, just being in here with this wood.
Well, yeah, and then we were walking in with some 2x4s that we just cut, and I was like, oh, you want to hear this? And I smacked them together really loud. It was like a gunshot right next to my head, and that was what sparked the headache.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure I killed both Silas and I. But I went home, and then I was like ready to go to sleep at like 8 o'clock. I was like, I'm ready to get in bed. And then I woke up this morning at 6:20, and I was like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to stay in bed. So I'm just in this weird spot right now where I just don't want to leave my bed.
I've fortunately always been a morning person. I just can never stay up late. Like we would have all nighters, and I couldn't do them. Like I would get to like midnight, and be like, I don't know how you guys are still have energy. I'm out. But what sucks about being a morning person is like if you are a stay up late person, that means you can sleep in, and which I feel like means no matter how late you stay up, then obviously it depends on the season of your life, because like when you're in a season where you have to be at work at 9 or 7, then you can't sleep in. But when you were in like school or summer, I had tons of friends who would stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning playing Call of Duty, and I'd want to stay up with them, but they had the luxury of their body let them sleep in.
Yeah.
My body didn't.
You had to wake
like if
up.
I went to bed at 3 a.m., I was still getting up at like 7 was sleeping in. 7 to 8 was the latest. So like if I went to bed at 3 a.m., all it meant was I was going to be sick the next day, because I was going to get up and have no sleep. Whereas they were like, they would text me when they woke up because we were like going to hang out that day or whatever, and I would be up at like 7:30, exhausted from staying up till, like I said, I couldn't push it past really midnight because my body wouldn't let me. So I'd stay up till like midnight playing with them on Modern Warfare 2, and then I'd go to bed, and then I'd get up at like 7 something, and I'd be tired, and then I'd be like waiting for them to like let me know where we're meeting up or whatever, and I wouldn't get a text from until like 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we just woke up. I'm like, what do you mean you just woke up? And they're like, we stayed up till like 3 a.m. playing Call of Duty, so we just woke up. I'm like, gosh.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I've never been able to achieve that lifestyle, so I've never understood it.
I'm definitely a morning person now, not a morning person compared to you, but like if I'm naturally waking up, if I don't have anything to do on a Saturday, which is very rare, and I get to sleep in, which is very rare, then I'll naturally wake up at pretty much 7 o'clock on the dot.
Yeah,
and I'll make myself go back to sleep, but I'm usually still waking back up at like 7:30.
I think it all depends on like the household you were raised in, I think. Because like my entire family was morning people.
My family was not morning people.
Yeah, and that's how Lizzie's family wasn't. So when Liz married me, then like I would get up and she'd be out cold. Because when we got married, I worked at the coffee shop, so I had to be at work at 6:30. Mm-hmm. She worked at Rita's frozen custard. Mm-hmm. She would have to be at work early as like 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I don't think they open till 1. So we were on like opposite schedules. I'd be getting off work at 1 and she would be just getting to work. And then she would get off work, 7 o'clock or whatever. But what it meant was like I would get up and have to like start getting ready at like 5:30 in the morning. But Liz is like she's a heavy sleeper, but like a light sleeper at the same time. Like she can sleep forever.
I think you just described a wife.
Yeah, she can sleep forever. But if I like grind coffee,
I don't think that's offensive.
I don't. She doesn't listen, so it's okay. But if I like grind coffee or step on the wrong board, she's up and like, "Are you kidding? Can you stop making so much noise?" I'm like, "I'm tiptoeing right now. I'm sorry." But like she can sleep through. She can sleep through like New Year's Eve gunshots and fireworks. But the second I like creak the floor, it's game over.
Or you open your drawer.
Oh yeah, you open the drawer the night before.
That's a good idea.
I have my t-shirt drawer half, like my short drawer that I wear every day, all the way open. T-shirt drawer half open, so I can access both and don't have to touch them in the morning.
I also get ready in the dark. Gabby doesn't like it
every time.
Gabby doesn't like it whenever I tell people that because it makes it sound like she's not gonna let me turn the light on. But like at the same time, like
does any husband get ready with lights on?
I never know what color shirt I'm wearing until I get to work.
This is my light. I turn my phone upside down and look at my drawer, and I just have to pick by the logo. It's like you're looking at black and white. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's very funny.
Yeah, sometimes if like she'll fold, like we'll get the laundry done the night before, and it'll still be on our fireplace. Those are good days. Yeah, I can turn the light on out there. Yeah, and then I can get dressed and actually know what I'm wearing.
I picked out my outfit like for real.
Yeah, yeah.
I could tell that there was like a change in my family like this year. So we were on our vacation at Ediso Island last week, and which for those of you that don't know, that's in South Carolina. It sounds a lot fancier than it is. It's just in South Carolina, but
it's fancy.
We were there, and usually we're all like rolling out of bed. Early is like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But usually like 11 is when we're all rolling out of bed, and then we're like slowly getting ready to like go do whatever we're doing. We had so much time in the day now because my whole family has transitioned to morning people because like I obviously wake up early for work, and my brother-in-law, he my sister's Carly's husband, Zach, he like gets up at like 5 for work because he's an electrician, so he usually has to drive a couple hours to get to whatever project he's working on.
Yeah, so
he gets up super early, so he's definitely a morning person. And then my mom and dad now get up super early because of Lewis, my nephew. They like, from watching him so much, they have to get up at like 7. And then Caitlin, obviously Lewis is her son, so she is used to getting up early. So my whole family gets up early now. And so this vacation was like we were all rolling up out of bed at like 7:30. And by 8 o'clock, we were all sitting downstairs eating breakfast, which was really weird for us. So we had like a 3-hour head start on every day. Yeah. It literally was like we'd be riding bikes and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's only like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. How we still have so much time left. But my vacation was also cut short because I didn't get there until a day later because of my truck.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it? Or you're
I'm okay talking about it. So you talked about your baby for a little bit, so I'll talk about my baby for a little bit. So my 2002 Nissan Frontier, supercharged V6, might I add.
May she rest in peace.
No, it's not done at all. It's actually not that big of a deal. So I've been working on this truck for like a while now. It was my wife's grandmother's truck, and so she died a while ago. And so the truck has been sitting for like 10 years, like not being started up at all, just sitting, which is like the absolute worst thing that you can do for a car. And so anyway, the truck got passed down to us because Gabby's grandmother died a while ago, which meant the truck got sent to her mother. And then her mom, like 6 years ago now, passed away. So now the truck is ours. And so we got this truck, and I immediately put only like $400, including a battery. So a battery is like 100 and something bucks. So $400 worth of parts into it, just like a regular tune-up to get it back on the road. And then it started up beautifully, absolutely no problems. I drove it straight from North Carolina to Virginia. Was like the first test drive I did with it. Zero problems. So I've been driving around here for months now. And there's been like a couple things that have been opened up. Like if you see my Instagram, you saw that I changed the harmonic balancer on it, which was a little bit of an intense ordeal. But like overall, the truck has done really well. I found out right before I left here to drive to my parents for Christmas in North Carolina that the radiator was bad because I had like a coolant leak and I didn't know where it was coming from because I couldn't track it down. And then I eventually just decided there's no way this radiator has to be bad because it was just seeping from the radiator, which is really weird. That doesn't really happen to cars. But again, this car sat for 10 years, so abnormal things happen to it. Bought a new radiator, didn't change it here because whenever I left here, it was 6 degrees and like
it was cold.
60 mile per hour winds. It was crazy. Like
it felt like -7 or -9, I think.
The porta potty out there was tipped over from the wind.
Well, luckily, everything was frozen in it.
Yeah, true. It was the craziest weather I've ever experienced. I've never experienced anything that cold, which I understand. My friend in Indiana was like -30, but like I've never experienced anything that cold.
I hadn't either.
So I couldn't change the radiator because it was so windy and so cold. And so I just threw the radiator in the back of the truck. I was like, it's not overheating. I'll just drive it there. So we drive the truck because we have to take the truck because we have to take our bikes and we only have a bike rack for the truck. So we take the truck to North Carolina. About halfway there, I started getting this weird thing where at about 65 miles per hour, if I gave it a little bit of acceleration, it would stutter. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And so me and Gabby are both kind of freaking out a little bit. I'm like, it's okay. Let's like just calm down for a second. Let me think about it. I'm feeling it out. I'm like, okay, it's only happening here. It's not getting worse. I'm just going to pray that we make it to Charlotte. I was blessed and we made it to Charlotte and it did not get any worse. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. We're planning on driving this another 4 hours to South Carolina after Christmas. Get there, have Christmas and everything. And then the next day I changed the radiator in my dad's garage, which we're in his building, which is ridiculously nice, way nicer than my driveway. My barely driveway, basically changing in the grass. But, change the radiator, find out the radiator's definitely bad. And I was like, I bet there was no coolant going to my engine at all because there was no pressure in any of the hoses. So, but now the new radiator's in and there is pressure to the hoses. Also, transmission fluid goes through your radiator too. I bet my transmission was just overheating and that's why that was happening. So we like figure that's the problem, get everything loaded up. Oh, also my parents for Christmas got me a brand new radio, like the touchscreen double din radio with Apple CarPlay on it. It's absolutely sick. I sent you guys a picture of it. I was very excited about it. Bye, Brad. Me and my dad put that in at the same time we put the radiator in. And it's sick. It's so cool. You're in this just like old 2002 truck, which I don't consider that old, but for some people that's an old car. I'm used to an 87
It's like
BMW.
21 years old.
Yeah, but again, I'm used to an 87 BMW.
Someone born in 2002 can drink this year.
That is crazy to think about.
That's not right. All right, keep going. It is right, but it shouldn't be.
Maybe that's been the problem with my truck. Maybe it's been drinking too much.
Yeah, it just hasn't stopped partying.
So we put it in. So it looks kind of awkward because it's like this old interior with just like this super nice radio in there, but I don't care. It's awesome. I just like having the navigation and stuff. So we get it loaded down. We already leave way later in the day than we were supposed to because we were changing a radiator and stuff. No problems. We didn't run into any problems. And start to leave and get like 10 minutes down the road and it's way worse. Like it's bad, like stuttering super bad. And so I just like pull into a parking lot. And then it starts like it's barely idling at that point, which is really weird. Have not had this problem with this truck at all. I also noticed that while we were working on it, I had an oil leak, and I hadn't experienced an oil leak in that truck yet. It didn't surprise me that I had an oil leak because it's an old car. Most old cars have oil leaks. Not a big deal if your car has a minor oil leak as long as you keep on adding oil in it. But it had a pretty bad oil leak. Noticed it was leaking from the valve cover, But that's just a normal thing. A car that's been sitting for a long time, the more you drive it, it's going to open up. It's going to show you what the problems are with it. So it just showed me that the valve cover gaskets were worn out and they were developing a leak. So it's barely idling. My dad gets there. We're looking at it. At this point, it's dark. That's how late in the day it is. And we're shining flashlights all in there trying to figure it out. Cannot figure it out. We think it's maybe a vacuum leak. Change a couple of hoses from O'Reilly's down the street. And then we call a tow truck. Tow truck says he won't tow it. So we did AAA, so it should be included in it. AAA guy says I can't tow it because your tag is expired. So since it's not registered, yes, it's not registered. Sorry, everyone, but it's in my insurance and it's inspected. But so he can't tow it. Somehow my dad finesses this guy. Because he says I can't tow it, and if I do tow it, you're gonna have to pay for it because it's got to be a customer tow. It can't be a AAA member tow.
Yeah.
And I don't know what my dad said to this guy. He was just like, so you can't tow it? And I could tell my dad was getting frustrated, and I was about to tell him, like, just calm down a little bit. This guy's not just doing his job. My dad was like, I'm sorry, man. I just don't really see why you can't tow it. And the guy was like, it's because I can get in a lot of trouble. And the guy, he's like, give me 1 second. He goes on the phone, walks around the truck, comes back. He's like, hey, man, since you guys are going on vacation, I'll tow it for you. And I was like, what is happening right now? And so, of no charge, he tows it back to our house. And then we obviously give him a tip. And the
tip was, hey, next time, tell us on the first to go.
Yeah. Anyway, I know I took way too long to tell the story, and it's all very boring, but we threw the code reader on it, and it said a oxygen sensor was bad. Straight up, the code said, you're like, bad oxygen sensor, which is weird. Cars don't usually do that. So we looked at it, and I was like, that makes sense. The valve cover gasket that's leaking oil directly above the oxygen sensor. So that oil is just leaking straight onto the oxygen sensor, which is just overheating that oxygen sensor like crazy. And so that's also why it was doing it sometimes and wasn't doing it other times, because an oxygen sensor is an electrical thing. So it would sometimes work. So basically your oxygen sensor senses the exhaust coming out of your engine, and it reads that and tells you what your fuel and air mixture should be, because that's how you make combustion in your engine.
Nice. It's not that I don't care, it's just that I don't know.
In order to make fire, gas and air is what you need. And so it's telling the car how much air to put in there and how much gas to put in there.
Fascinating.
So if the oxygen sensor isn't working, it's just throwing everything in there. It's just too much air or too much gas, so that's why it runs really rough. And so it's just a little electrical sensor that tells your car how to run. Very important, it sounds like. It's very important, yes. And so while we were on vacation, I just took one of my parents' cars that they let me borrow, and we ordered new oxygen sensors and new valve covers as well to stop the leak. And then my dad is very kind and said, just drive our car back to Lynchburg, because I know you have to get back to work and everything, and I'll fix the truck for you and meet you halfway. Oh, nice. Yeah, so it's not a big deal. I don't even have to do it. That's great. It doesn't look like it'd be that hard to do. Did you text him like anything else that needed to be done while he's working on it? Yeah. Well, I'm kind of glad, because I was like, okay, because he was going to change the oxygen sensors, and I was like, okay, whenever it gets back, I was thinking this in my head, I'll just go ahead and change those valve covers, the valve cover gaskets, because it's just annoying me there's an oil leak, because there wasn't an oil leak before. Yeah. And then he was like, I'm just going to go and order the valve cover gaskets too. And I was like, all right, sounds good, Dad. Just tell me how much to Venmo you. And so, yeah, there we go. That's the story. The thing is, you haven't seen your dad's hourly rate. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. He'd be like, all right, son, yeah, it was only $17,000. I hope not. I don't know why you're laughing. I hope not. It's your dad. He texted me. Well, and you know what? And I saved $550 by buying that taillight myself. So we're good to go. So it all bounces out. So now it's only $16,500. Yeah, for your dad to do it. We're looking great. Mm-hmm. Nice. What'd you get for Christmas? I was going to ask you literally the same exact question. Well, did you get a kayak? No, I didn't get a kayak. I got the radio. Okay, well, it was a much nicer radio than I would have bought myself. That's why my dad got it for me, because he said he felt like he had to rush to get it for me before I bought a cheap $70 Amazon one, which Makes is sense. What it was in my cart. I was going to get it. That's funny. So that was very nice of them. They also got me. I've got like a nice fishing rod now. Okay, I've got the Guggen Squad one. Nice. Yeah. Your replacement hat came in. I forgot to bring it. Oh, heck yeah. It's in my closet because it came in after you're already gone. Mm-hmm. So then Liz was cleaning up, and I was like, just put this in the closet. She's in. I think it'll work. I think you'll like it. Okay. If nothing else, you can like work in it. Yeah. I'm sure I'll like it. But I think you'll like it. Okay. It's a pretty basic hat when it's all said and done. Hunter got me a hat for Christmas, and then I walked in the day before he gave it to me, and I already had the hat. Yeah. It was one of the more tragic moments of my life. I was sad too. I felt like it was my fault. Speaking of hats, I had another classic hat situation go down for Christmas. Oh, no. Yeah. I sent my mom 3 items. I don't know if I told Trevor this on the Banter last week. Sent her 3 items. She every year asks us for a Christmas list. Uh-huh. Every year I'm like, I don't really want anything. Mm-hmm. Especially like the older I get, the less I want, because like typically if I want a hat, I just buy a hat throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But there's always like a few things that are like, I don't really want to spend that much on a hat or something. So this was the melon hat. I bought Trevor one. Yeah. I was always interested in them, but I never wanted to get one because I was like, at the end of the day, I like the hat I run in. Mm-hmm. And that's all I wanted it for, is a running hat. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't want to get a running hat. So I was like, but this is perfect Christmas gift. Sent my mom that. There's also these like recovery slides for running. Okay.
that are like really squishy, but they're like $80 for sandals. So I was like, I'm never going to buy those. But again, perfect Christmas gift. Sent that to my mom, and then a foam roller, which was like $30. So I sent my mom probably a total of like maybe $200 worth of stuff. Maybe. Probably less than that. Because I mean, that was reasonable. And Liz sent her list. And so show up on Christmas, I started opening stuff. First off, opened these shoes, which I've worn a lot. They're sick.
Oh, sick.
For the record.
They're Duke.
They're Duke.
Dang.
Yeah, they're Duke's running shoes.
That's sweet.
So I'm pretty excited about those.
Gabby got me these shoes.
Yeah, I noticed them. They're sick.
Cool, right?
They're very 90s-esque. I love them.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
So I showed the shoes. I didn't wear them intentionally. I've just been wearing them a lot. Duke plays today.
Nice.
So I have them on.
Those are very cool.
I was pretty excited. But these shoes are the equivalent of the 3 items I asked for cost-wise. So I opened them, and I'm very excited about the shoes. Obviously, I love Duke, love the shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, this is great news for me because this means that I'm getting the 3 items. Because like I always don't know like how much my parents spending on me this Christmas. Open that, then I like start opening other stuff. They got me new running gloves, which is great.
Nice.
Because my running gloves are very thin. They got me thick ones. They got me some new socks, which is awesome. They got me a bunch of stuff I needed.
But they didn't get you the socks that you sent them.
No, they didn't get... Well, so my parents are very nice when I like wearing Hanes because they're cheap and comfortable socks. And my parents, I send it to them and they're like, we're not buying you Hanes socks for Christmas. So they bought me Under Armour, which they're nicer socks. You can't be upset about it. It's just funny. So no, I got Under Armour socks, got some Nike gloves, and I got a new beanie and stuff like that. And then I get to the end and I'm like, obviously I'm not going to sit there and be like, but Mom, where's the hat I ordered? Because like I'm not going to be a like pretentious douche on Christmas sitting there. But like I would lie to you if I didn't in my heart be like, man, I really wanted that hat. You know what I'm saying? So like I went home and my mother-in-law had given me like gift card to Amazon. So I told Liz, I was like, hey, we have a bunch of stuff we need for Luca. We were going to pay. If I just use the Amazon gift card to buy that stuff, can I buy myself the hat? She was like, yeah, of course. I'm like, all right. So I bought the hat. I didn't buy the recovery slides because I mean, you don't really need $80 sandals. Just you don't.
Sounds cool though.
They're very nice, but you don't need them. And I'm just gonna go to TJ Maxx get the foam roller. But what I determined was that my mom, I sent her that list back around Thanksgiving, and I just texted it to her. Typically, if I send like a list, they end up buying like 1 or 2 things from it, but then they want to surprise me, so they pick a few things that they're not going to get me from the list. For them not to hit any of the 3, they definitely forgot about the list.
Just didn't see. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was just funny because like last year, I sent my mom a list of like 4 items. 2 of them were hats that I really wanted, and the other 2 I don't even remember what they were, but they were like, yeah, these would be like kind of cool to have. And she bought the 2 that I was like, these would be kind of cool to have.
Yeah.
And didn't get me the 2 hats.
Yeah.
So this year for Christmas, Liz got me the 2 hats I missed from last year, which was sick. I thought it was funny because back-to-back years I've asked for hats, and I think it's my parents know how many hats I own, and they're just like, he doesn't need more hats.
I love hats,
which is a completely fair statement. I have probably 45 hats, and I wear 3 of them. But I love hats, so I always.
Well, the
want
great
more
thing about hats is that like a year later, you dig in your hats and find a hat you forgot about. Yeah, and like this is sick, and then it's your hat for you like wear that hat all week. Yeah, I love hats.
I also go through different styles. Like right now, I'm a like. Unstructured forward-facing hat right now. That's what I feel like. I'm like, why would I wear a backwards hat? But 2 weeks from now, I'm gonna be a backwards hat guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just what I do. That's how I cycle.
I had asked my parents for that Guggen Squad rod because it was just like, again, I look at Christmas as like things that I wouldn't buy for myself. Yeah, they're like a little bit nicer than what I would buy for myself. Maybe in this case, you're paying a lot for a brand name. So I would buy a budget version of it that's just as good. Yeah. Because that's like something I take pride in is finding budget version of things that are just as good as like the brand name things. But I was like, it's a Christmas present. I think it'd be kind of cool to have this Guggen Squad rod. So I sent it to her, and then like a couple weeks later, she was like, hey, we're like, is there anything else that you want? Like, I don't think we have like. We already got you other stuff, and I don't think I want to spend this money on this rod. And I was like, that's okay. Here's the budget version of it. Like, here's a budget rod that I found that I actually got really obsessed with. And I sent it to her, and I was like, it's like $45. And I was like, you can just get this for me, and I'll be plenty happy. Like, I'll be happy even over the rod, like, because I did all the research and found this one. Yeah. So she... Then, like a week later, it's like the week of Christmas. I haven't gotten anything for my dad yet because I have no idea what to get him.
That's always the toughest one.
Yeah, well, because like I always struggle because I feel like the things I'm interested in kind of take hold of my family, and I feel very selfish because I feel like I always end up getting everybody things that I like. Like I'll just get my dad disc golf stuff and stuff like that. And so I really wanted to get him a fishing pole because he doesn't have one, and we started our new tradition of going camping and fishing. But like I know he doesn't fish, unless he's with me, and he's like never really been interested in him. So I don't want to just get him something I'm interested in because I would just feel selfish because I would rather give him a thoughtful gift that like he would like.
Yeah.
Then my mom says, I think your dad would like a fishing pole, and I was like, I don't know, like I'm not really sure. And she told me this like 2 weeks before Christmas. So like I was like, I still don't know. So I kind of sat on it for a little bit longer. The week of Christmas, very late to order anything. And she was like, hey, I really think that you should get your dad a fishing pole because I think he would really like it. And I was like, fine, whatever. I didn't want this. I didn't want to just get him stuff I like. Yeah. Not to mention, we also hadn't got anything from my mom. And Gabby was like, your mom mentioned like months ago that she really, really wanted you to get her a disc golf bag. And I was like, I'm not getting my dad a fishing pole and my mom a disc golf bag. Like it's like a little kid buying presents for people.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting both of them. My mom absolutely loved it.
Nice.
And my mom said, well, let me just tell you this. We ordered that fishing pole for you, the $45 one. And she was like, and we're not going to give it to you because we decided to go a completely different direction with your present. And so we were going to return it. I could just not return it. You like Venmo me for it or whatever, and then just buy like a reel.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. That's what we'll do. I was like, all right, that's the fishing pole I would have bought him anyway because it's really nice. And so we just went and I bought the same reel that I already have that I know that I like and that my dad has used and that he likes. And I got him like a couple different packs of bait and like some hooks and stuff. Gave it to him. He loved it. He thought it was really funny that was the rod they bought for me. And then they hand me a present behind the tree, and it's this big, giant, long thing. And
you're like, you got me an antenna for my truck.
And so I open it. It's the Guggen Squad one. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I didn't know you guys were going to get this for me because you said specifically we didn't get it for you. It was very funny.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That's how. So because my dad, I'm always in the same situation where it's like, what do you buy them?
Yeah.
Because like you never really know what to get your parents. I feel like that's like the impossible conundrum.
Yeah.
And so this year, Liz and I decided what I always do is it sounds like we're very similar. Because how I look at it is I know my dad, especially as I get older, wants to spend time with me.
Yeah.
Because like that's something that just like goes away.
Yeah.
So I always just find stuff that I'm really interested in that I'm like, if my dad gets into this, then easy way for us to spend time together. Yeah. So like I've got him a disc golf bag. Last year I got him Atlas Pioneer and then filled it with discs that were good for him to throw. And we've went out like maybe a few times. His big thing with disc golf is he wants to wait till he's done playing basketball 3 times a week because every time he plays disc golf, it hurts his arm. And then he says it hurts his shot the next day, which I think is hilarious. But so eventually we'll be playing disc golf with my dad. But he loves gifts like that because then it like before I've gotten like Legos and been like, well, hey, like we're going to come up here now and build these Legos together. Much easier to do before I had a kid.
Yeah.
Last year or 2 years ago, it was because last year I got him the disc golf discs. 2 years ago, my sister, my brother, and I went in and got him a murder mystery thing where it sends you. It was called like Hunt a Killer, and it sent you a new like stack of evidence every month.
No way.
And
that's
so it's
cool.
the first month, the first box that we had got for Christmas, because like December was the first month we did it. So that Christmas, it just like laid the story out, and you had a map of the town. And then you had to like start putting like pins down of like where the killing happened or where the body was found. And like it's a high school reunion was the one we were doing. And so we did it like 3 or 4 months in a row, but it was a full year thing. And so 3 or 4 months, I mean, we were into it. Like everyone had like literally like notebooks of like full of people who were suspicious. And you would like interview different characters. So like the characters would have like their answer sheet of like how they answered the interviews, and you'd like read through it. You'd read through letters. It was insanely cool. Around like May, everyone just like couldn't find time to get together. And so my dad always jokes about it now of like, oh, y'all gonna get me another 8 boxes I can't use? Because we'll come over and he's got a stack of To Hunt a Killer. And it's just 8 months worth of evidence that we never got to.
That's hilarious.
And so it was a very thoughtful gift. My dad really loved it, but we never got to get around to do it. But that's like stuff we typically do. Well, this year we were trying to think up of like what to do. And so Liz and I decided for her mom and her dad, and then my parents, that we were just going to get them all a picture of Luca, because each of them had like a favorite picture of Luca. We were just going to print that out in like an 8x10 and then make him like a little handprint ornament. Because at the end of the day, my parents don't care how much the gift costs. They just love like a really thoughtful gift. And I knew my mom would love that. And I knew my dad would put the picture of Luca on his desk. So I'm like, this is perfect. So we did that. And every year prior, everyone just gets my parents like one gift. And it's always just like one thoughtful gift. Well, my brother and his family got the stomach bug, so they couldn't show up to Christmas. So it's just me and my sister. And so everyone's opened their gifts. And my sister's daughter, she's like 4, my niece, she's like losing her mind now because it's getting like late and she's exhausted, but it's also the excitement of Christmas. So she's like trying to stay up. So she's going into like a full-on tantrum. And so it's just getting chaotic. And we're like, well, Mom, let's just let y'all open your gifts, and Lila will open the rest of her gifts tomorrow, and then Heather and Ethan can go home, and then Liz and I can open. We have like 2 gifts left. We'll open ours and just kind of hang out until Luke is ready to go to bed. So we start like having my parents open their gifts, and I like notice there's a ton of gifts under the tree still. I'm like, man, Lila has so many gifts she hasn't opened. And then Heather's like, well, I'll give you what we got you first. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, y'all, because y'all need to get out of here, sure. And she just starts handing them gift after gift after gift. I mean, I'm talking like an expensive espresso machine, which first off, she hands it and it's like this beautiful white espresso maker, like machine, like not like an automated one, but like a actually has a group head, a steam wand. Like she probably spent like $800+ on this thing. And she opens that. And my mom's like, oh, this is going to go so good in the new kitchen. And I'm saying, I was like, new kitchen? And my dad's like, oh yeah, we're redoing the kitchen. I'm like, what? And they like start like telling us stuff. And I'm like, whose family am I standing in right now? Like my mom has been begging to redo the kitchen for probably like half my life. My dad's always been like, no, like there's no point. Like the kitchen's functional, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, we're getting new countertops. We're going to knock out all the cabinets and blah, blah. I'm like, what? And so then they start telling me all this stuff. And then so my sister just keeps buying them new stuff for their new kitchen that I didn't even know existed. And I'm like, how out of touch with my family am I? So she just like keeps pouring out like new stuff that go on the counter, new appliances, all this stuff. And then she like gets down, and next thing you know, it's like we're going to Disney in April as a family. We all decided to go because my nieces are 4 now, and then Luca will be like 9 months, but my other 2 nieces will be over a year. So we're gonna go to Disney. So everyone's super excited. So then she starts getting them all this stuff to like wear matching outfits with her kids at Disney. And like every present they open, I'm like, that's genius. That's genius, Heather. And they just go one after one, and like probably like 10 presents in. And then she hands it, she's like, all right, this is the last one. And they open it, and I forget what the final one was, but like they open them all. I'm just like staring at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to hand them a literally arts and crafts ornament and a picture I printed at CVS. And I'm like standing there holding this little bag, and I was like, all right, here's ours. And just hand it to my mom and dad. And my mom could see it all over my face that I was just like pissed at my sister. And so Heather like walked out, like my parents opened it. They're like, oh, we love it. Thank you so much for doing great on the tree and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I thought you guys would like it. And then we just like went back to like opening presents, and Heather left, and my mom was like, Hunter, like, you know, like Heather always goes over the top. Like what you did for us was perfect. I'm like, Mom, don't start with me right now. I was like, I don't want to hear it. I was like, next year y'all gonna get so many freaking gifts from me. It was so frustrating. But Heather stuck to it. She didn't get me anything.
Dang.
So I made the right decision to show up without. That was the first question I walked in. Obviously, Jimmy wasn't there. They were sick. Heather's there. I said, Heather, I need you to be honest with me. She's like, what? I was like, did you give me a present? She's like, no, we said we weren't going to. I was like, all right, good. I was like, I didn't get you one either. I was like, I just knew you. She's like, I had a lot of stuff in my Amazon cart for you that I almost bought you. I was like, I knew you. But she's like, but I knew we had said we weren't going to, so I decided not to. I was like, wow, all right, power to you. That's
impressive. That's growth.
Yeah. But I walked up, and I was like, last night or 2 nights ago, we went up. It had to be more than that because before Liz got sick. It must have been like Friday night or something. We went to my parents' house, and they had their espresso machine like set up. But my sister, luckily, doesn't know anything about coffee. So I got to walk in, and my mom's like, yeah, I don't really know how to use it yet. And I was like, okay, well, at least this is my Christmas gift to you. So I helped her get a machine set up and explained to her, like, because like my sister has the same machine. And so she had taught her like how she makes it. And my mom was like, yeah, this is what Heather, I'm like, no, let's back everything back up. This is what and so I walked her through like how to actually pull the shot the right way and tamp the right way and all that. And then my brother will come and get the grind setting and stuff fixed. Cause
that's cool.
I'm not going to, he'll use his like TDS meter and stuff, which is like TDS stands for total dissolved solids, basically, I believe. So essentially it just is a refractometer. So it like measures the light that comes through the coffee and can tell like how extracted whatever you made is, and like there's a certain range it's supposed to be in. So you can't rely on taste. I believe hers is very under extracted, or no, it's very under extracted, which means you use more water than coffee than it's supposed to. So he won't even rely on taste. He'll just use his refractometer and be like, oh no, we need to dial it up or down. I just had to taste it and be like, that is bitter. But you can tell a difference between bitter because of coffee and bitter because you messed up how you pulled it. But I was like, well, I got everything set up. Now Jimmy just has to come get the ratios right. So at least Jimmy and I get to partake in my sister's gift.
That's very funny.
Because years past, she'll like, we told the Peloton story on here. Years past, she'll like, if she has big gifts, she'll text us and be like, hey, everyone go in on this. And we're like, oh, Heather, that's genius. This year, she just said, screw you guys. I'm going rogue. And I'm getting.
She's like, if I can't buy you guys a present, you can't be in on my presents.
Screw this. I'm buying mom and dad 15,000 gifts, and you always have to stand there in your line with a little paper bag.
That's kind of how I felt whenever we were opening presents, because Gabby and I did a lot of sporadic Christmas shopping because we were just really like we were just really busy around this like Christmas season. Like the weeks leading up, she had just started a new job, and like we were obviously pretty busy here, and I was trying to get everything pumped out for being gone for a week. And so we were just really busy and just didn't have a ton of time to do Christmas shopping. So it's like week of, Gabby was going out and getting stuff, and everything she got, she was like, I just don't feel like this is a good present. Like I don't feel like they're gonna open this and think that we care about them at all. And
that's always the worst.
It is, yeah. And so like it was just like it felt like a lot of service level stuff, and I felt the same way. I was like, it's really important for both of us to do thoughtful gifts. Yeah, because like I'm historically a very thoughtful gift giver. And that is like something I take pride in, that I love doing. I love it when people open a present and it's like I'm not like a list person. I don't like it when people give me lists. I'm more like I want to give them something that they're gonna love that they didn't know they wanted. Yeah, something like that. And
or something they mentioned like 7 months ago. Exactly. And they're like, how the heck did you remember I wanted this?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I bought Gabby all of her Christmas presents before she could even tell me anything she wanted. And she was a little bit sad about it, but it's okay. Because I gave her a very explicit list on Amazon of all the things that I wanted. And I was like, all of them together are exactly our budget. Nice. So you don't have any room to get me anything you want. So we just kept on getting things because we just felt like our presents for them sucked. Like they just weren't good presents. We got there and like we're like handing out our gifts. And at one point I'm just like, we have given everybody so many gifts. Like we keep on handing out our gifts. Because typically like the siblings, like we get everybody like a gift. Yeah. And like, because obviously we're not our parents. So like it's my parents who like do like the big Christmas, and we get everybody like one gift. But we just keep on handing out gifts. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And to the point where I'm starting to feel bad because I'm like, it looks like because we kept on like, we started out being like, okay, this is like a little gift for everybody because it's like little like soaps and stuff like that. Little gift for everybody. Like these are, Gabby was like, these are just like dumb gifts. Like you probably won't even like them, but like they're just like little gifts for everybody. And then we all made the joke. We were like, yeah, it's like really stupid. Like you're probably going to hate it, but like these are some little gifts for you. And because the way that Gabby said it, she like undersells everything.
That's funny.
And so we gave them that, and we just kept on giving them stuff. And I was like, to the point where I was like, this is over the top. We need to sit down and talk about the gifts more, because whenever you buy gifts that you don't think are thoughtful, you end up just keep on grabbing things. Yeah. And then to the point to where we didn't even realize how many things we had gotten for people. So we'll think about that more next year. Yeah. Whenever you're busy, you just get way too much stuff.
No, yeah. Well, I felt bad because like, so Lizzie and I, we do not give each other lists. We don't really give each other budgets. It's just like, we try to both just kind of know, don't spend too much money, but like if you want to splurge a little bit, splurge a little bit. Because like if there's a gift that you know the other person will love and they're never going to buy it for themselves, then just like buy it and apologize. At least that's my thought. Yeah. So that's kind of how I've always treated Christmas with Liz. And then this year, like I got her this like pot and pan set that I knew she really wanted, but I knew she would never buy for herself. So it sounds really boring, but when you're married, some gifts are really boring. Yeah. Knew she was going to love it. But I couldn't keep my mouth shut. So I spoiled it like December 1st. Oh no. So she knew what she was going to get. But the problem was they were very expensive. So I couldn't go buy anything else because I'm like I've spent, I'm sure, more than she spent on me on this, but she already knows what it is. So then I was in like this weird conundrum, if you will, of like, it was a catch-22 where she's going to like the gifts, but she already knows it. I want to get her a surprise gift, but I can't spend money on a surprise gift. So like, where the heck am I at now? Whereas she just got me all surprise gifts. And I knew most of them were from Dick's, but that's all I knew. I didn't know what they were. And they were all great. There was a bunch of like really cool clothes and hats and stuff. And so I was like, well, crap. So what do I do? So we went to Target one day and I was like, you know what, Liz? You just watch Luca go because she needed to get some groceries or something. I was like, you go to the grocery store. I'm going to take a lap around Target. I was like, I just want to see if anything speaks to me. Like if anything's like, this is Liz. And I walked through the store and there was a bunch of stuff that was like home decor stuff that I was like, yeah, Liz would like that.
The hearth and hand section.
Yeah. I was like, Liz would like that, but like, you don't want to get your wife like a pot for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that. So like, I was walking through, I'm like, man.
And you'd already done it.
True. I was a plant pot.
Oh, okay.
Different pot, man. Different pot.
I understand.
Yeah, I didn't want to get her just like that or like one thing I knew she would like was like literally a toilet paper holder. I'm like, I'm not getting her that for Christmas. And so I like walked through and I was like, man, none of this is like what I was looking for. And like her phone case was all messed up. So I was like, I could get her a new phone case, but then I realized I didn't know what model iPhone she had. So I was like, well, now I can't do that. So I was just looking at the iPhones. I'm like, that one looks like it would fit, but like, no, that's not gonna work. So walked through, I saw some shoes. I'm like, I know she would love those shoes, but what if she already has them? So I just left the shoes behind and I like walked. So I get all the way back and I get back to Liz empty handed. And she looked at me and she's like, you didn't see anything in this entire store I'd like? I was like, well, there's a lot of stuff you would like, but like nothing that like I wanted like to get you. She's like, well, let's take a lap and you just point it all out. I'm like, but I was like, I'm not like, if you know it, I'm not buying it. She's like, well, that's fine. I just want to see, like, do you still know me? I was like, oh, this is an awful test.
That is
I was like, this is a terrible
test.
There's
no winning in this situation.
And so we like walked to the hearth and hand. I was like, well, that toilet paper holder, like I knew you'd like it. She's like, yeah, that's actually really cute. Like maybe I'll come back and get that. I'm like, all right, 1 for 1. And we walked. I was like, well, I was gonna get you a new phone case. I knew you just messed up. I didn't know what model phone you had. So like, and she's like, oh wow, like I didn't even think, like, yeah, my phone case sucks. I'm like, all right, 2 for 2. And then I walked into the shoe section. I was like, I knew you'd like those boots, but I feel like you might already have them. She's like, yeah, I own those boots. They're my favorite. I'm like, okay, well, 3 for 3. I was like, so I still know you. I was like, but frick, I didn't buy any of it. And so then she's like, well, it's fine. Like, I'm very excited for the pots and pans. I'm like, stop, shut up. You already know them. I was like, I might return them and try to buy something else. Because then like we went after Christmas. I was saying something about like how I felt bad that she knew all her gifts. And she's like, well, what were some of the ideas that like ran through your head? And I was like, well, I went to the Tiffany & Company website because like in high school, I bought her this Tiffany & Company necklace. It's like $125. And like I had saved up Christmas money, birthday money, whatever, and bought it for her for Christmas, our like second or third year date. And I think we were seniors in high school. And I gave it to her and she was floored by it because back then especially, it came in like the Tiffany blue bag and like, she was freaking out. So she wore it every day, literally until after we were married. Like for years, she wore it every day. I couldn't remember what happened to the necklace. She still owns it. Yeah. But I couldn't remember if she owned it or not. I knew I had gotten her this like cheaper Brighton necklace previously that had a fish on it because my nickname was Fish. And I knew that one had broken, but like I knew that she didn't actually like, it wasn't her style. She just really liked the necklace because I had given it to her. So I was like, I don't want to replace that because she doesn't actually like the necklace. So I was like, well, I could replace this Tiffany Company necklace. I was like, but what if she still owns it? Was the whole problem. So I went on Tiffany Company, like scrolled for a little bit and like nothing spoke to me. So I just told her, I was like, yeah, I went to Tiffany Company and scrolled. She's like, you know what's funny? Is like, I was really like, I wasn't going to say anything, but there was like several things on Tiffany Company that I was really hoping you'd get me. I was like, don't tell me that. I was like, man, I was this close to giving you the perfect Christmas, but instead I just screwed it all up. It was pretty funny. But now I know what to do next year. I'm sticking with my gut. When my gut tells me something, I'm buying it. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
That's the great thing about being a husband, I feel like. And this isn't sexist. I don't really care if it is. Just being honest, like I don't care what you comment. But me and Gabby came up with a budget.
Yeah.
Realized in like a day, budget was way too low. There's no way I'm sticking to this budget. But I felt like as a husband, I could blatantly ignore this budget because even though it was like a little bit disrespectful because it's both of our money. Like I'm not like somebody that's like, it's my money, I can do whatever I want. Like it's both of our money. But like what is she gonna say? Like, you know, is she gonna open this and be like, well, this is way too expensive, I'm mad at you for going over the budget? No, she's gonna open it and be like, oh my gosh, like I would have never bought this for myself. And she'd be like mad at me for going over the budget, but like
it's a play mat.
But like because I'm her husband and like I take care of her. You know?
Because like how I view it is when it comes to Christmas is like if Liz went out and bought me, like she knows I want a new computer. If I would have got to Christmas and there's a new Mac Mini or iMac or whatever under the tree, yeah, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why did you spend this much money? but it's not like you're not really mad because you're so excited because you're like, you wanted it, you just didn't want to spend that much. So like, that's how I think about if Liz went over budget for me. So I just like treat it the same way. I'm like, well, she's gonna think the same way if I go over budget for her. So
Gabby just did a great job because she got me pretty much everything on my list, and then just found stuff that I was so excited about, but like got them for really good deals. Like these shoes are like, I absolutely love them. She got them on Adidas website for like $25.
Yeah,
because of like all their clearance, stuff like that.
That's
and
sick.
So not me. I got her like what I felt. I did the same thing with her that we did with our family. I got her presents that like I knew she wanted because she had mentioned like she wanted new earrings that were like nicer earrings, not ones that would like would turn green or anything. Because she usually just buys like Target earrings. And then she also had mentioned like some other stuff that she wanted, but they were all like really boring everyday things that I bought her like nice versions of because I was like, you know, like she deserves like a nice version of this. And I bought her like nice earrings, like pretty nice earrings. Like they're not crazy nice, but they're pretty nice earrings from like a nice website.
Yeah.
And then nice necklace and everything too. And then before I knew it, I was like, I already spent our budget and I just bought her like the most boring things I could think of.
Yeah.
I was like, she's not gonna be excited about opening these. And then and so then I was like, I already hit her budget. I even got her like the big item I wanted to get her. And I was like, I don't care.
Just send it. Yeah.
I just did it.
That's Christmas, man. That's Christmas.
It is.
My grandparents, I saw them obviously every Christmas. And at Christmas this year, they're like, hey, we have had this bag of toys that your cousin gave back to us to give to you for years. And we keep forgetting. They're like, can we just drop them by your doorstep one day? I was like, yeah, anytime. They're like, I was like, what are the toys? They're like, just some type of action figures or something. I was like, what? I was like, I never played with action figures, but I was like, now it's piqued my interest. I'm like, yeah, just drop them off whenever. So on Monday, I was home from work and Liz and Luca were sick. And so my grandparents ring the doorbell. I went to the door. I was like, hey, Liz has a stomach bug. Like, I don't want to really get too close to y'all. You can just drop them there. Thank you so much for bringing them by. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And they drop them and walk away. I have no idea what I'm about to see in this bag. And I pick it up and I bring it inside. I sit it on the counter and I open it. And it was just like the most nostalgic moment of my life because a huge part of my childhood that I completely wiped away was just sitting in front of me. Did you ever play with the Tactics?
No.
Okay, so essentially what they were is it was a Hasbro toy.
Okay.
And so it had access to like Marvel, Star Wars, and it was like all these characters from it. And then it had some that were just like, you know, stupid characters that weren't from any movies or anything, but it has all these characters as action figures. And it was a game. So each character had a strength and you would set your army based on that strength. So you could play with like 100 strength or 200 strength,
that's
whatever.
That's pretty cool.
And so you would draw your characters out and you'd set them, and then your friend would have his tactics and he would set them like 3 feet apart from you. And so you could pick it just had to add up to that strength. So you could go like all giant bosses, but then you had like a really strong strength, but you're pretty easy to knock out, or you go all small people. But essentially like how it works is each character had like a little ticker with a number on it. And when you push forward, it has a wheel and it clicks. And that's the ticks. So attack ticks. So you move, it's like one will say like 6 and you click forward like 6 times. Right. And then each one has a different way to attack. So some shoot something, some have like a lightsaber that you pull their arm back and swoops. And how the game works is when you get close enough that you can attack, every move you can move as many people as you want, I believe. I'd have to read the rules. It's been literally probably 10 or 12 years, maybe longer. You could move them and then you attack. And so you'd move them and like the way that you like knock someone out is if their character falls over, that character's out. So it's like actually attacking.
Dang, that's
so you
pretty
like
cool.
you would shoot like Captain America had like a pretty big like shield. So if you attacked the right like 2 or 3 characters, you could knock all 3 of them over with one attack. But then the big bosses have like their shin guards essentially, and you have to hit both of them. And if you hit them both hard enough, then it knocks this little like thing out the bottom and like launches him up and he falls over. And so like I sat them down and I opened it and I was like, what on earth? I started pulling them out. I just started freaking out because I'm like, this is so, I completely forgot about this. Like, Liz, come here. So she came in. I was like, have you ever heard of a tactic? She's like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, we got to battle. She's like, no, we're not battling with these stupid things. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till Luca's like 3 or 4. I was like, this is the best present I've ever gotten. And so I have in this bag's probably like 150 of them.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just something that like I could not for the life of me remember, but like once I saw them, then it just brought back this wave of memories of like me and my brother played, me and my best friend played, me and my dad played. And we would just like sit in the basement for hours and set up, because like every battle was different, because you'd set like your 200 or whatever strength limit, and then you could just pick within that. So like I would set up my battle and then like find my weak point, and then like the next time, you know, Jimmy would adjust his and I'd be adjusting mine, because I'm like, oh, okay, well now Jimmy's definitely not gonna get me, because like my Wampa was my weak point, so now I'm gonna replace him with this. It was crazy. So like those are just sitting at home and it's just waiting for me to come back and play.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Let me pull up.
That does sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah, like if I would get them now, obviously I wouldn't care, but seeing them again, like this is what they look like. Oh, that's taking me to Macari. I want to just images. So this is like what they are. So they have this little base, and they all like shoot or have like those obviously shoot like a big force field looking thing. Those have lightsabers, and then their base basically just has their like power on the left, and then on the top it just tells you how much you can move them. Okay.
That's pretty sweet. That does sound like a lot of fun.
I think I looked it up yesterday. I think they literally only made them for like a 2 or 3 year period.
Oh my gosh.
But for some reason I just got addicted.
I wonder why they didn't like catch on that much. That sounds crazy.
I don't know. It was electric.
Maybe it was hard to get most kids to like sit down and play something that organized.
Probably, because it was like the Beyblade era.
Yeah.
It was a similar era.
They really just wanted things just to smash against each other.
Yeah, but that was, man, I was so excited, because like I was so confused, and my grandparents told me like, yeah, and they described it right. It's like, it's a bag of action figures. I was like, I was not a G.I. Joe action figure guy. Like I did not play with those. So I was like, in my head, I was like, this is going to be Jimmy's toys. Yeah. They're going to give it to me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is all Jimmy's. I'll give it to him. And then I saw it, and it was just like the greatest day of my life.
That is so
It just
funny.
brought back like all these memories. Like every time I pulled out, like then I just like, once I saw one, I remembered all of them.
Yeah. So
like once I like reached in the bag and pulled out, and the first one was like the white, like abominable snowman, the Wampa. Pulled him, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I just like instantly remembered
images flashing in
everything in there. I started looking down, I started seeing like chrome bases, like, oh, there's all the rare ones. It was a wild moment. It was a wave of nostalgia that I haven't been hit with in years.
That's
it was
hilarious. Crazy. That's really funny.
I'm hoping that when Trevor gets here, I can just say like something about tactics, and he'll be like, because surely Trevor and I had the same childhood.
That does sound this sounds like something he would do.
I'm sure Trevor played.
Yeah.
Surely. And if Trevor has his, we're going to set up in a tactics battle. We're going to get no work done.
I'm going to get him. I'm going to go on eBay.
Yeah, that's the next thing I did. Is I was like, could I sell these for a lot of money? And you could sell them for a decent bit, but I was like, I can't sell them until Lucas played.
Dude, we got to get into buying storage units.
Yeah, I've seen some TikToks
I watched
about
a video the other day of one of the fishing guys I watched bought like 3 different storage units.
I just don't know how you go about buying them.
I don't either.
Like where like, okay, I want to buy a storage unit.
You just contact your local storage unit.
We do know the guy that owns Graves Mill Storage right here. He's a disc golfer.
We should find.
I'll ask him. Unit. I'll text him back. Hey,
I want to buy a storage unit.
If you ever got a storage unit, you're trying.
This
to sell.
guy found boxes and boxes of these really nice watches. Yeah, like one of the watches in there was like last sold for like $25,000.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like from what I've seen, most of the time you're paying like $150 to $200 for these storage units.
Yeah,
and the majority,
I think he paid for the one that he got like all the cool stuff. He paid like $1,200 for it.
Dang. Well, I'm sure they'll look, because like from Storage Wars, the rules seem to be pretty simple. You can like look, but you can't touch. Yeah. So you like look in there like, all right. But like if it's not a bid, then you just like kind of pay for whatever. But like I haven't seen someone get one. I'm sure it happens, but I haven't seen someone get one and not make like 3-4 times what they spent on it. Yeah. I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty easy to make back.
Yeah, as long as you don't like buy an empty one. Yeah. Like if you buy one, it's just got a bunch of furniture in it.
That sounds like so much fun to me. Just to go through every box. I love random crap. And so just like going through every box in there sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. All right. I don't know how long it's been.
Maybe a while.
Feels like a good bit.
Yeah.
We'll call it the banter.
All right. There we go.
There you go. That's the banter. We banted. Hopefully you enjoyed.